Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time you're watching this. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself, of your parents, of your family, and causing as little trouble as you can for them. I hope you're studying well, taking part in extracurriculars, and at the same point of time preparing for the examinations, keeping your notes handy, having enough amount of water, and in general, I hope you have your life put together, and if you don't, it's all right. We have the entire life with us. But you need to have your priorities right. You need to keep making efforts, and things will just fall into place. I guess as long as there are efforts, other things follow. Yes, so let's go ahead with today's lecture. Today is a new thing that we shall be studying, and it's climate in India. So, climate in India, what do we mean by climate? When we say climate, we talk about, okay, so there are two terms, weather and climate. What's the difference between weather and climate? Weather is the condition, the atmospheric condition, the conditions of the environment, the natural environment around you over a very short period of time. Let's say 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 1 day, 2 days at best. Okay. Then what is climate? Climate is the prevailing conditions, the prevailing conditions of the environment over a large area for a long amount of time, for a long period of time. So when we talk about the fact that, okay, today it's rainy today or it's sunny today, we talk about weather. But when we say the word monsoon, we say the word summer, we say the word what should I say, winter, these all come under the fact that it's climate. It is something that has prevailed over a period of time, over a large landmass or something like that. So so these days, not necessarily these days, you say when India experiences everywhere actually December, January, that period of time, November, December, January, February mid is somewhere we consider winters. So that, how do we know that this is a time that winters shall be there? Because it has been observed over some period of time that during this time it's winters. And how is that, what does that fall into? Does that fall into the fact that it's weather, or does it fall into the category of a climate? So it's climate, since it has been raining over for, like, raining as in it has been followed and it has been taking control of the situation as a winter season during that time, so it will be covered under climate. Now weather is today is a very rainy day, today is a very cloudy day, for the next 4 days it will be rainy. So actually for the next 4 days, if it's going to rain, it's probably monsoon, otherwise it does not rain that much. So yes, with that we shall go ahead with this chapter, climate in India. Okay, so we will be beginning with monsoon. What is monsoon? Monsoon, when we say monsoon, we usually connect or associate it with rains, and that's very true, that's very correct. But what it actually is monsoon? Okay. Monsoon is a seasonal wind pattern that brings heavy rainfall to the Indian subcontinent, providing crucial water supply for agriculture, hydropower, and overall economic activities. Let's put the providing part away, but like, what is monsoon? Monsoon is a seasonal wind pattern that brings heavy rainfall to the Indian subcontinent. So, monsoon, when we talk about monsoon, we're not just talking about one kind of wind that blows, but a wind pattern. It's like a pattern of winds that blow, seasonal wind that blow, and it brings heavy rainfall to the Indian subcontinent. So, the Indian subcontinent as a whole is affected by monsoon. Okay, types of monsoon. Southwest monsoon, June to September, which lasts from June to September. Northeast monsoon lasts from September to December. Alright, so let's discuss. So this is something that you need to actually pay a lot of attention to. We shall be discussing this. I think it's a very interesting topic personally. I really like understanding it, and I hope you guys do the same. So let's go ahead. Southwest monsoon. the southwest monsoon is the primary primary monsoon season in India, bringing the majority of country's annual rainfall. So around 70 to 80% rainfall actually is brought by what? Southwest monsoon. So it is one of the most primary monsoon seasons. It's not northeast monsoon, it's southwest monsoon, okay? It typically begins in late May. So it begins in late May or early June and reaches the southernmost state of Kerala first. So where does southwest monsoon hit the first time? It's in Kerala and gradually progresses northwards. So from Kerala it starts moving northwards and covers the entire country by July. So the entire country faces the consequences of southwest monsoon by July. The southwest monsoon is characterized by the arrival of moist winds from the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal, which collide with hot and dry air over the Indian subcontinent, leading to formation of rain clouds. Yes, so the southwest monsoon is characterized by the arrival of moist winds from Arabian Sea. So moist winds blow from Arabian Sea, which is like, so this is the Indian subcontinent, right? We have Arabian Sea on one side and we have Bay of Bengal on the other side. So moist winds blow from both the regions, both the sea regions, okay? And then they collide with the hot and dry air over the Indian subcontinent. So during the time of June and September, isn't like, see, the thing is, it begins late May or early June. So June and July is usually very, like June is very hot, right? For majority of the country, it's the time where the temperatures rise up. So during that time, for majority of the country again, hot and dry air is flowing over the landmass, okay, over the Indian subcontinent, and hence when colder winds blow from Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, they collide with this dry and hot air, and this leads to condensation and hence formation of rain clouds. Now, this monsoon system is responsible for about, as I mentioned before, 70 to 80% of India's total annual rainfall, making it crucial for agriculture, water resources, and overall economic activities. So, monsoon in itself is very important for the survival of the country as a whole, because there are certain regions which do not get water supply as easily as other regions do. So, this is something, also it's very really necessary for crops to grow, for agriculture to flourish, and for hydropower and all of these things. So it's like a very it's a natural source of supply of water that the country receives for a elongated period of time. So that's very necessary. Okay. Now let's go this into a little detail. It's a very, very interesting thing that I'd like to explain over here. The monsoon rainfall is unevenly distributed across the country, with the western coast and the northeastern states receiving the highest amounts of rainfall. So because of southwest monsoon, it happens that the western coast, that is regions of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Goa and Kerala, all these regions, right, on the western part, these regions, as well as the northeastern regions of West Bengal, of that entire northeast region, Assam, like over here mentioned, Manipur, Mizoram. So these regions actually get heavier amount of rainfall than the other regions. That is while the northwestern and interior regions experience relatively low rainfall. So northwestern, as you go towards the northwest, the rainfall amount decreases, and the interior regions, as in like areas like Madhya Pradesh or Uttar Pradesh or somewhere around here, so they receive relatively less amount of rainfall. Okay, so let's study this. Let's study this over here. Let's look at the diagram over here. So this is advance of southwest monsoon 2019. So here we are talking about 2019. You see, 2019 is what we're talking about here. Now, let's go ahead and see how this works out. So, this is the Arabian Sea, and this is the Bay of Bengal. Right. So, the thing is, winds blow from here. See, Arabian Sea, so these winds are coming. Okay. The first, see, look over here. I don't know if it's visible to you, but 1 June, 5 June, 25 May, 20 May, 20 May. 25 May, 1 June. Alright, you see these dates are relatively first over here, 5 June. So you see the, what do I say, the western coast as well as the northeastern regions, this and as well as like this area of Andaman and Nicobar. So this region, these are the regions where the monsoon winds hit first. So this is where the monsoon is likely to arrive first, that is somewhere between 1 to 5 June, sorry, or even there's, it goes back to 25 May, but that is region of Sri Lanka, we shall not be talking about it, that's not our country. Our country, we talk about 1 June, and over here in the Andaman and Nicobars, somewhere mentioned 20 May and all of that. So during that time, in that time period, is when we received, when the country received the first monsoon rain. So it usually starts in Kerala, as it's mentioned 1 June. That's like the earliest rainfall that we witness by southwest monsoon. So now these winds, as seen here, go here. They go from the western coast, and then they travel from Arabian Sea. They go to the western coast, and from Bay of Bengal they go to what to the northeastern regions. Okay, and hence these are the regions which usually witness the first rainfall of the season. Okay, yeah, so the winds first hit the western Ghats over here, this region, and then they move northward. You see how the winds are going north, upper. Okay, so that's how it follows. And here, over here, Bay of Bengal, say they go towards eastern Himalayas and these regions of northeastern regions of West Bengal, of Bangladesh, and other northeastern regions. Okay, so it is said like over here. See, Kerala is the first state to receive the rainfall, and Andaman and Nicobar are the first UTs to receive the rainfall in this case. Okay, yes, let's move ahead. Let's see how this happens more easily. Okay, now look at this. This is okay, over here this region, over here this region. I hope the red pen is visible. So December, and this is how it follows. December ke baad we come to March, this is June, and this is what? This is September. So it happens that this time, if you see, this is the northern hemisphere, this part of it. This is what? This is relatively towards the this is away from the sun. So we witness, the northern hemisphere witnesses summers, sorry, winters, since it's away from the sun. We move, the earth keeps moving, the earth keeps moving, the earth keeps moving. Over here spring sets in March, somewhere around March. Okay, and then the temperature starts increasing. So after north, you go ahead and you reach June. So sometime around June, the northern hemisphere faces the sun. Okay, June, northern hemisphere faces the sun. All right, so if it faces the sun, what happens? It's summer. So June, this time is like over, after March it starts facing this thing. Okay, so this is the time, June, May, June, July. So August, September, it goes to autumn. So the thing is, May, June, July are the months where it's likely that northern hemisphere receives more heat. Now, what does having more heat mean? Let's go ahead and see this. May, June, July receives more solar energy, means more heat. Sea, Arabian Sea cools slowly, whereas land, western coast, cools faster. Now look at this. Let's assume this is the Arabian Sea. and this is the western coast. All right. So now see, this is the Arabian Sea, this is the western coast. What do we know? That this heats and cools slowly. So during summers, that is during May, June, July, land temperature is high because land heats cools faster. So during May, June, July, land is what? The temperature on land is higher. All right. Because of this, what happens? Warm air is there. Temperature high, warm air exists there. And warm air is usually what? Warm air lighter, rises up. So warm air is lighter, it rises up, it goes above. And in place of this, what happens? That Arabian Sea, we know that heats and cools slowly. So this is relatively low in temperature than the land. Even though if it's more in temperature, but it's still cooler than land. So what happens there? The air sinks. And what else do we know? That it's higher pressure. So what because of differential differential temperature difference between land and sea, what happens? Winds blow from higher pressure to lower pressure. That is, winds blow from Arabian Sea to the western coast. Winds flow from the Bay of Bengal to the northeastern regions or the eastern Himalayas, right? So and this air that was rising up, this goes above, it goes to a certain platform over here. Let's say it's like a layer. Over here it starts cooling because as you go up the temperature decreases. So it starts cooling and here it develops higher pressure and then it starts going here to a lower pressure. Okay. So like this a cycle sets in. The warm air, the land gets hot, sea remains cooler. On the land the air is warm, and because of warm air, what happens? The air rises and it rises to a certain degree where it becomes cold. So in between, when this hot air rises, the cold or cool sea breeze from the Arabian Sea takes its place because of higher pressure on the sea and lower pressure on the land. Why is that? Because the sea cools and heats slower than the land heats or cools, and because of this, and after some point of time, when the air over the land mass has has cooled, it develops a higher pressure and it starts to go to a region of lower pressure, which is towards the sea. So this entire thing sets a cycle in process, and because of this we witness what? Rains. Now so the strength of monsoon is directly proportional to the temperature difference between land and sea. We'll come to this later. Now you see, this is a diagram again here. Arabian Sea, say the winds are coming, and on the Arabian Sea they are met with a resistance. What is the resistance? The resistance is of these Western Ghats ke mountains, right? So this side is called this is a mountain, let's say. Let's draw this over here. Okay, this is the sea or whatever. This side is called the windward or the seaward side because it faces the winds, it faces the seas. Okay, now because of that, what happens is that this moisture, this air, since it's rising, since this air is rising from the Arabian Sea or the Bay of Bengal, this is moist in nature. So this moist air, what happens? It goes to the mountains, but it's met with obstruction of the mountains. So by coming in contact, what happens? It starts to climb along the slope of the mountain. So this is wait just a minute. Let's draw this. All right. So these are the mountains and this air starts to rise up. But as it goes up here, so it's cold, because as you go above in the troposphere, the temperature remains cold. All right, but and hence after reaching this point, it starts to formation of clouds takes place at this point of time. So because of this side which is the windward side witnesses rain. Of course, makes sense. And because of this, what happens, it witnesses rain. Now after it starts to cross, it starts descending. Over here it was ascending, so it starts descending here. But because of this descent, what happens is that the leeward side, that is the other side of the Western Ghats, this is the mountain, this is the windward side, this is where the Arabian Sea is, the other side where the Arabian Sea is not, which is farther from the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal, that area receives less rainfall. Okay, so see, over here it's also mentioned maximum rainfall takes place on the windward side of the Western Ghat mountain regions. Southeast trade winds during summer along, okay, this is something else. Leeward side of Western Ghats mountain range gets very low rainfall. So this side gets low to negligible rainfall because of what? The Arabian Sea's influence. Alright, so this is how basically monsoon opens its arm. This is how basically monsoon takes place, monsoon follows in India. Now, and this is just about the southwest monsoon. This is not about the northeast monsoon. So the northeast monsoon, also known as the retreating monsoon or the post monsoon season, occurs from October to December in India. Unlike the southwest monsoon, which brings rainfall to most of the India, the northeast monsoon primarily affects the southern and eastern coastal regions, including Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and parts of Karnataka. So it is known as, first of all, retreating monsoon or the post monsoon season, occurs from October to December in India. Unlike the October, somewhere it's mentioned July to December, we'll see that. Unlike the southwest monsoon, which brings rainfall to most of the India. Now the southwest monsoon, as I said, is responsible for 70 to 80% of the rainfall in India. This region is hardly at best is responsible for 11% of rains in India, but it primarily affects the southern and eastern coastal regions and includes Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh and parts of Karnataka as well. During the season, the northeast trade winds blow over the Bay of Bengal and bring moisture to the coastal areas. The northeast monsoon contributes a significant portion of the annual rainfall for these regions and plays a crucial role in their agriculture and water resources. Tamil Nadu in particular receives substantial rainfall during the northeast monsoon, which helps recharge groundwater and reservoirs for irrigation purposes. The rainfall during this period is important for crops like rice, millets and pulses in the central area, in the coastal areas. Yes, so these are certain things that you need to keep in mind, that these are the regions that northeastern monsoon affects, and these are the regions that southwest monsoon affects. So both of them at the end of the day are very necessary for the annual rainfall and outcome that we receive, and basically the kind of crops that we get, if they're good or not, or these monsoon could also destroy the crops. So yeah, Tamil Nadu is one such state which benefits a lot from the northeast monsoon, because it does not benefit from the southwest monsoon. And yes, with this we shall go ahead and carry forward climatic regions in India. Okay, so there are various kinds of climatic regions. It's not like there's one state contains one kind of climatic region, or like there's just one climate that is observed all over the country. There are multiple kinds of climates that are observed in various regions. It could be state-wise, it could be it's like a variety of regions. It's latitude, longitude, these winds blowing, that wind blowing, and the absence or lack of something. So with that, we shall go ahead with tropical rainforests. Now tropical rainforests are characterized by heavy and continuous rainfall throughout the year, usually exceeding 2000 millimeter annually. So that's a heavy amount of it. High temperatures and humidity levels. Of course, temperature is high, humidity is high. Examples of Western Ghats and parts of Northeast India. Now, what did we just study about them? That they receive majority of benefit from southwest monsoon, and hence these are the regions which are considered tropical rainforests. So there's like lush vegetation because of this, you know, so much rain. There's a good amount of trees and tree cover, but at the same point of time, the humidity increases as well. Because there's moisture rising and coming to your place, Vegetation includes tall trees with broad leaves such as teak, bamboo, rosewood, and mahogany. Epiphytes, ferns, and mosses are common, thriving in the high humidity and abundant rainfall. These forests are home to various animal species like tigers, elephants, monkeys, and colorful birds. Tropical savanna climate. Tropical savanna climate has distinct wet and dry seasons, dry winters with cool temperatures and little to no rainfall, wet summers with high temperatures and heavy rainfall. Examples: parts of Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh. Vegetation in this region consists of grasslands and scattered trees. Wildlife in this region includes herbivores like antelopes, zebras, and giraffes, as well as carnivores like lions and cheetahs. Climatic regions in India: tropical semi-arid steppe climate. Low rainfall throughout the year. The minute the word arid is used, it becomes a dry region, usually less than 500 millimeter. Now you can see the difference in the same country, that at one place you are receiving around 2000 millimeter annual rainfall, but at the same point of time there in another region there's less than 500 millimeter of rainfall. So hence there are hot summers and mild winters. Examples of tropical semi-arid steppe climate are northwestern regions of India, parts of Gujarat and Rajasthan. So these are the areas which come under tropical semi-arid steppe climate. What are the trees? Trees such as babool and khejri can be found. Animals like camels, desert foxes, and rodents are adapted to the arid environment. Tropical and subtropical steppes. Modern rainfall with distinct wet and dry patterns. Semi-arid climate with rainfall ranging between 500 to 1000 millimeter. Hot summers and mild winters. Examples are parts of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh. Vegetation in these regions is characterized by all grasses and scattered shrubs. Grasses like tall wheatgrass, feather grass, and Bermuda grass are common. Shrubs and small trees like Bayer, Ziziphus marijuana, and jujube, which is Ziziphus jujuba, are found. So these are the scientific names. This region supports grazing animals like cattle, sheep, and goats. Tropical desert, extremely arid with very little rainfall. So this is like an extremely dry area, and the rainfall is even less than 250 milliliter per year. Hot temperatures during the day and significant temperature drop at night. Sparse vegetation mainly consisting of thorny bushes and cacti. Examples: Thar desert in Rajasthan. Humid subtropical climate with dry winters. Hot and humid summers with temperatures often exceeding 30 degrees Celsius. Mild winters with relatively low rainfall. Abundant rainfall during the monsoon season. Vegetation includes deciduous and evergreen forests. And the examples are parts of North India including Delhi, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Mountain climate. It varies with altitude and latitude, resulting in different climatic zones. So it is something that changes with distance as you travel up. Lower altitudes have a subtropical climate, transitioning to temperate and alpine climates at higher heights. Temperature decreases with increasing altitude. Heavy rainfall in some areas, especially the windward side of the mountain. Examples are Himalayan region including Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Sikkim. So that is it on the note of climatic regions in India. Yes, so with this we covered climatic regions in India. It's nothing, you just need to go through these points and understand how much rainfall the area receives and how much vegetation, what kind of vegetation, what particular vegetation or lifestyle that it's familiar with, or which regions this particular climate prevails in. So stuff like that. And yeah, there could be a possible question from this region. But with this we shall move ahead and we will discuss a very interesting topic, a topic that's in news a lot, These days more so. Not these days actually. There was a time when it was climate change all over the place. But yes, but something that is very necessary to understand, and something that's very, as young people of this of the current world, in the current world, we need to be particularly aware about, and necessarily take measures from our end actually to understand how we can help and promote the fact that we need to take steps to prevent the climate from becoming worse actually. I mean, we are at a stage where it's bad, it's not good, but what else to do except make efforts to not make it worse? That's the least that we can do from our end. It's a little bleak. The future looks a little bleak because it seems pretty impossible for climate to go back to the stage that it was before. That's definitely not possible. But further damage, if avoided, can result in humanity living in the same climate for a longer amount of time before having to use oxygen masks, I'd say. Yes. So, I live in Delhi. So, Delhi is famous for what? It's famous for the fact that the climate is changing, and Delhi being an industrial area largely, it being an area which is populated by, which is hugely populated, and which is full of people who come from like various other regions. So it's like Delhi is a perfect example of climate change, in the sense that the rains that are observed are very harmful, and the rainfall pattern is also very irregular, and the temperatures fall and go above. Like, so Delhi witnesses drastic weather, or drastic climate actually. So summers are humid, summers get very hot and dry at the start, and then with monsoon setting in, it gets very humid, and then as winter set in, it gets very cold. So there's that term, there are those extremities that Delhi reaches, which usually are only reached in I'd say something like Rajasthan because of the desert area. But Delhi undergoes this, and it's not going to stop, because of course with more technology and with more advancements coming in, the environment will be exploited more. So it's just these advancements need to be made keeping in mind the fact that we need to leave something for the future generation, that the people coming after us also need to live in the same world. So that is why it's necessary to understand what is climate change, and how you can help from your end as an individual to not to devote less amount of efforts in furthering climate change, rather than helping the climate, helping the earth become better. That was a long monologue, but we shall go ahead and get into this head first. All right. Climate change. Climate change definition. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature and weather patterns on Earth, often attributed to human activities. So you see the Earth over here. I mean, this is like just an illustration, but it's not very far from the truth. You must know of the wildfires. If you do not, you must know of the wildfires that take place in Uttarakhand, or the wildfires that take place in Australia and California even. So it's not like very far from the truth, but it is still there. So at one place you see the earth is lush green, the skies are clear, and on the other hand you see it's burning, the skies are not clear, the plants have died, and the water itself looks brown, brackish. So which earth would you prefer? You would of course prefer the earth which is green and lush and blue, and there's everything is a primary color basically. But we are reaching more towards an earth which does not look like this. Anyways, so what is climate change? Climate change is long-term shifts in temperature. So, as said before, climate and weather, there's a difference. Climate change means something that has affected the climate of a region. So, long-term shifts in temperature. So, this has been affected on a long period of time, over a long period of time. Because so there was this one climate pattern that was followed over a long period of time, but then suddenly after for the past 2-3 years, it has been observed that that pattern is not being followed. So what does this mean? It means that climate change is actually true, that climate change is taking place, and it is often attributed to human activities. It is often said that it is because of human activities, constant exploitation of the planet, deforestation, industrialization, urbanization, a lot of variety of reasons, because of which of which only we are responsible, and because of which we are causing climate change. It is primarily driven by the increase in greenhouse gas emissions such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, resulting from the burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, industrial processes, and agricultural practices. So, one of the primary reasons of climate change is the increasing greenhouse gas emissions, which in turn leads to increase in global temperature, which in turn leads to global warming. So that is one of the reasons. And another one is also observed, like one of the major another one reason is that the emission of chlorofluorocarbons through refrigerators, through ACs, these lead to depletion of ozone layer, and hence ozone layer, if ozone layer is depleted, what happens? The UV rays are not being targeted against, as a result of which what happens? As a result of which ozone, we humans face could come in direct contact with UV radiations, with ultraviolet radiations, and they are not helpful to the human body. They are very harmful to the human body as well as to the environment as a whole. That is why there's a layer which protects us from the same. Alright, so let's move ahead. Causes of climate change. Greenhouse gas emissions, that is one cause. The burning of fossil fuels for energy production releases CO2, the primary greenhouse gas responsible for trapping heat in the atmosphere. So greenhouse gas emissions have increased, and how has that been? So one of the main reasons is that the burning of fossil fuel has increased, that is coal, oil, and natural gas. So these days, is it possible for a person to go anywhere or to travel without the use of coal, oil, and natural gas over a long period of time, over a lengthy period of time? No, it's not, because these days everything is very necessary. Like, you might, if you come from family which can afford air travel, and your father has to travel here and there, your mother has to travel here and there, so they would prefer something that's easier to go by. They would prefer going by an aircraft, or going by an aircraft. So what happens? That releases a lot of that requires a lot of energy production. So where does this energy come from? Coal, oil, natural gas, all these things. Or just for production of energy, when in water, for water production, for electricity production also, you require, there are two kinds, right? One's thermal, and the other is by the help of turbines, by the help of water. So it's like a variety of things where fossil fuels are used, and hence, because of burning of fossil fuels, CO2 is released, and methane is also released. So these are the main gases which are responsible for trapping heat in the universe. Now, if there is more heat that is trapped in the universe, of course, in the atmosphere, of course, the temperature will rise, and because of temperature rise globally, there will be some changes that will take place, maybe not like right then and there, but over some period of time, those changes will be observed in the environment itself. Deforestation. The clearing of forests reduces the Earth's capacity to absorb CO2, leading to increased concentration of greenhouse gases. So now the thing is, where does CO2 go? So the CO2 that we release is, inhaling a lot of gases and then exhaling CO2. So that's exhaled CO2 goes where it goes. The plants and trees and all of these people, they absorb this CO2, and then hence they go ahead with production of food of their own, and in turn give us oxygen. So it's like a cycle. But if there are less forests, if there are less trees, there are less plants, less green trees and green plants, because those are the ones which make their own food and absorb CO2. So if they are less in number, what happens? This leads to again increase in amount of CO2 in the environment. If it's not being used by anyone, so it means it's out there, and because of this, again the greenhouse gas effect, the greenhouse effect sees the temperature rise. Industrial processes and urbanization. Certain industrial activities such as cement production and chemical manufacturing emit greenhouse gases like CO2 and N2O. Agricultural practices, so industrial processes again emit greenhouse gases. They also emit chlorofluorocarbons and other fluorides and chlorides, which are responsible for ozone depletion. Agricultural practices including livestock production and the use of synthetic fertilizers, release large amounts of CH4 and N2O. So of course these are basically targeting the greenhouse gases. But otherwise, what happens? That is of course leading to global warming. But when you when you use fertilizers and pesticides, chemical fertilizers and pesticides and synthetic ones for the soil, so the soil quality also degrades, which is also one of the reasons, but that usually comes under pollution. But these are things like you can see over here, it's like a vast sea, but you never know how much plastic is inside the sea. You don't know how much how much garbage is inside the sea when it's so much of it is outside, when so much of it has been washed ashore. So there are multiple causes of climate change. Impact of climate change. So climate change leads to rising temperatures. Global warming is resulting in increased average temperatures, leading to heat waves and more frequent and severe heat-related illnesses. Extreme weather events. Climate change is linked to an increase in extreme weather events such as hurricanes, droughts, floods, and wildfires, causing significant economic and social impacts. Melting glaciers and rising sea levels. The warming climate is causing the melting of glaciers and polar ice caps, leading to rising sea levels, coastal erosion, and threats to low-lying areas and island nations. So before those are clear, but let's address this one. Melting glaciers and rising sea levels. So what is happening? The climate is warming, the global temperatures are rising, so obviously the glaciers will melt. If glaciers and polar ice caps will melt, what will happen? Water will go into the sea, the sea level will rise. If the sea level rises, coastal erosion increases. If coastal erosion increases, there are threats. If, like, let's say there's this hill, okay, let's consider this a hill. This is the sea where it reaches, and there's settlement over here. There's a settlement. It's a raised platform. This is where the sea is. The thing is, now over the period of the last 25 years, the level has gone here, but there is still living settlements. So after some time, after the next 25 years, what will happen? The water will keep it in, and this will cause floods. This will cause displacement. This is called death. So there's like long-term effects that are there. Changes in precipitation pattern. Climate change affects rainfall patterns, causing alterations in the distribution and intensity of precipitation, leading to droughts in some regions and increased rainfall and flooding in others. So precipitation pattern has seen a change, and the thing is, this has affected the rainfall pattern. Monsoon has been affected. The distribution and intensity of precipitation has been affected. Maybe somewhere it used to rain like, let's say, 1000 millimeter a year, but now it's only raining 800 or 700 millimeter a year. So it is raining 1300 or 1500 a year. So both of them are cases of worry, because the people living there have been accustomed to a certain way of life, and if there's change, the vegetation there, the animals there, all of these people, all of these involved parties have a way of living over there. But if it sees a drastic change, so it is going to affect the ecosystem as a whole. Biodiversity loss. Climate change disrupts ecosystems affecting plant and animal species, habitats, migration patterns, and reproductive cycles, leading to biodiversity loss and potential species extinction. Wow. So, ecosystem disruption takes place because of which the habitats are affected, migration patterns are affected, reproductive cycles are affected, and all these things can actually lead to loss of biodiversity, and if goes on for a long amount of time, then species extinction. You know, it's said that, I don't know how many years, but kids in the future, like maybe 50 years down the line, people will not be able to actually see, like, you know, polar bears will no longer exist. So that's like a harsh reality that we have to face, because at this point of time polar bears exist, you and me are over here and polar bears exist, but maybe 50 years down the line, when we are still alive, we will not be able to we will not have those animals who we have right now, you know. So it's a very strange thing. So your future might not have polar bears at all, and you might have to like show your kids pictures, or show your you know, after 50 years see pictures like you see of dodo of dinosaurs, because they will have gone extinct. Because polar bears, by they I mean polar bears. Ozone depletion primarily caused by human made chemicals called fluorocarbons can lead to increased exposure to harmful ultraviolet radiations from sun, resulting in skin cancer, cataracts, and harm to marine ecosystems. So let's study this in a little more detail. Let's go ahead. Greenhouse effect. Sunlight and Earth's energy balance. So the sun radiates energy in the form of sunlight, which reaches the Earth's atmosphere. A portion of the sunlight is reflected back into space by clouds, aerosols, and the Earth's surface. The remaining sunlight passes through the atmosphere and reaches the Earth's surface, where it is absorbed and re-radiated as heat. The Earth's atmosphere contains certain gases called greenhouse gases, including carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and water vapor. These gases have the property of being able to absorb and emit thermal infrared radiation. When the Earth's surface is heated by the absorbed sunlight, it emits thermal infrared radiation. So when the Earth gets heated by the sun, it emits certain radiations. Now, greenhouse gases in the atmosphere absorb some of this outgoing radiation. So the radiation is going out, but what happens is that the greenhouse gases trap some of this radiation and they prevent it from escaping into space. So now with the increased amount of these gases, more of it will be trapped, and in turn what will happen, the global temperature will rise, that is global warming will take place. Thermal energy redistribution. The absorbed heat energy warms the atmosphere, oceans, and land surfaces. This process is crucial for maintaining Earth's average temperature, making it suitable for supporting life as we know it. Without the greenhouse effect, the average temperature on Earth would be much colder, rendering the planet inhospitable. So even though this is very necessary, because otherwise what will happen is that the Earth will be too cold and we will not be able to sustain, because this manages the temperature that we have, the average temperature is managed. But what happens if over a period of time this increases more and more, then the thermal temperatures will rise more and more, and in turn global warming takes place. Not will, it is what is happening these days. All right. Global warming. Global warming, you see this illustration, I really like this illustration. So yesterday the Earth was full cold, but then with time it's melting. So when you stop global warming, when you make, you know, it's like this. What you can do is that you can either talk about it, or secondly what you can do is that you can make efforts from your end, very small efforts from your end. So you do that and you ask more people to do that. So you form a community of people who are actually willing to help each other save this planet. Global warming refers specifically to the increase in Earth's average surface temperature due to enhanced greenhouse effect caused by human activities. It is primarily driven by the accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, trapping heat and leading to a rise in temperatures. Alright? Okay. Let's study about ozone depletion. Ozone depletion refers to the destruction of the protective ozone layer in the Earth's stratosphere, primarily caused by the release of human-made chemicals such as CFCs, halons, and other ozone-depleting substances. These chemicals break down ozone molecules. So, ozone molecules is actually ozone is O3. So, when chlorine or other CFCs, they act with this ozone, is that they break down the ozone molecule. So it becomes this, the breakdown takes place, and then there's further breakdown. So it's like these molecules get broken down, and because of which the ozone layer breaks down. Ozone depletion has detrimental effects on human health, leading to increased UV radiation exposure and associated risks, including skin cancer, cataracts, and weakened immune systems. International efforts such as Montreal Protocol have been successful in phasing out ozone depleting substances, leading to the recovery of ozone layer in the recent years. So the thing is, in 2008, this was the ozone hole. But with time, with the efforts that people have taken in, the ozone hole has reduced, and now it's relatively smaller than what it was before. So the ozone layer replenishes itself. We just need to keep focus on the fact that we need to try to stop exploiting the environment. Okay, so moving ahead, there are certain conferences and conventions which are keeping in mind that climate is changing, so we need to take efforts from our side, and we need to have conversation and talk on this, and in turn also take actions against the change in the climate. Okay. United Nations Climate Change Conferences, which is called COP. The Conference of the Parties is an annual event organized by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climatic Change. Please remember this, UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The COP meetings aim to assess progress in dealing with climate change, negotiate agreements, and develop strategies to combat global warming. Second, Stockholm Conference. The Stockholm Conference, also known as United Nations Conference on the Human Environment, was held in Stockholm, Sweden in 1972. It was the first major international conference on environmental issues, bringing together representatives from 113 countries. The conference focused on raising awareness about environmental challenges and discussing strategies for environmental protection and sustainable development. It resulted in the establishment of United Nations Environment Programme (UNEP) and the adoption of the Stockholm Declaration. So, Stockholm Conference was also known as United Nations Conference on Human Environment, and it was one of the first one of its kind international conference which was attended by so many countries, and such a big dialogue took place. It resulted in the establishment of United Nations Environment Programme (UNEP) and the adoption of Stockholm Declaration, which outlined principles for environmental protection and called for international cooperation. So in the end, as we read through the other ones as well, what we understand is that international cooperation is what is necessary to save the planet, to I won't say to stop climate change, because that's very difficult to happen on a global level, but to curb climate change, to try to obstacle its path, to try to from our end that we do not cause more harm to the environment that we have already done. Montreal Protocol. The Montreal Protocol is an international environment agreement aimed at protecting the ozone layer. It was signed in 1987 in Montreal, Canada, as a response to the growing concern over ozone depletion caused by human-made chemicals called chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, and other ozone-depleting substances. The protocol called for a phased elimination of production and consumption of ozone-depleting substances. So what Montreal Protocol basically did was that it was not like you should stop using CFCs all at once. No. So, they started with small amount. They were like, with this amount, with this amount, with this amount, and hence they were able to restrict the amount of CFCs that were being released. It has been successful in reducing the production and use of CFCs and other ozone depleting substances, leading to the gradual recovery of the ozone layer. Earth Summit. The Earth Summit, officially known as the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development (UNCED), took place in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1992. It brought together representatives from 172 countries along with thousands of participants from various sectors. The summit aimed to address pressing environmental and developmental issues with the focus on sustainable development. The summit resulted in several significant agreements, including the Rio Declaration on Environment and Development and the adoption of Agenda 21, a comprehensive plan of action for sustainable development. Now, what is sustainable development? Sustainable development is basically, it talks about the fact that the earth that you have right now is just not yours. You have to give it to other people in the future. You have to leave something for the people who are coming in the future. So it basically is that you take efforts currently and you take efforts in such a way that the future generation gets an environment to live in, basically. So it's like with the resources that you have right now, you create something and you make certain efforts that you do not deplete these resources, or you do not exploit these resources to the extent that there's nothing left for the future. So you have to be, things like sustainability is very much in talk these days. Having using products which are organically made and all those things. So this is all a part of sustainable development. Kyoto Protocol. Kyoto Protocol is an international treaty linked to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It was adopted in 1997 in Kyoto, Japan, and aimed to address global warming by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The protocol established binding emission reduction targets for developed countries known as Annex 1 countries for the period 2008 to 2012. So the protocol was signed, it was for developed countries, which are known as Annex 1 countries, and for how long did it last? From 2008 to 2012. So there was this protocol, and they had set certain reduction targets which were to be achieved during that period of time. It introduced flexible mechanisms such as emissions trading and clean developmental mechanism to help countries meet their targets. The Kyoto Protocol played a crucial role in setting the stage for subsequent international climate change negotiations, although it was later superseded by the Paris Agreement. So after Kyoto Protocol, even the Kyoto Protocol was at some level or the other helpful, and with that it was later superseded by the Paris Agreement. Alright, so with this we come to an end of the lecture today, and we shall be following this up with an example lecture. Complete your assignments, do your work, do your homework, search about these things. I know it gets a little difficult because you just need to listen, and I'm just blah 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 all the time. But what is necessary is that what can make it better is that you go to YouTube, you sit down, and you are like, okay, tell me what is the what happened in Kyoto Protocol? What was this that happened? How was it that the ozone layer, which was depleting, was through joint efforts was able to stop depleting and now is even recovering? So, these are some questions that should come into your brain, and you should be like, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll think of something, and I'll maybe know more than the person who's teaching me right now. You probably do. But yeah, keep researching, keep understanding, trying to things, try to understand it visually, like the monsoon pattern and all of that. So yes, I'm trying my best from my side. I hope you're trying your best from the side, making your notes, writing down things. And with that, let's take our leave, and goodbye. Thank you so much for watching.